This show went from fucking awful to awesome in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Like, I watched that first episode a goddamn year ago, and I didn't follow it up with trying any other episodes. I was vehement that it was a terrible show, and I watched one goddamn episode. I feel like a fucking dumbass. I do. Don't get me wrong. The show still has problems. It has problems in concept. It has problems in, the dialogue feels stilted at points. But fuck, dude. Did it nail that plot this episode? So this is episode 3, but I forgot to say. Episode 3. The Balloonman. Holy shit. It was awesome. He fucking handcuffed people to weather balloons, and they floated up in the air, and they landed back down on people. Every time you see it, it looks fucking... It's hilarious. It's straight out of the comics. It is straight out of comics. Don't get me wrong. Is it as good as, say, any other show? Like, for example, is it on the level of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? No. Is it on the level of Daredevil? No. But is it good? Sure. It's fine. It's... Third episode of this is better than the third episode of Arrow. Like, the second and third episodes of this are decent. Like, it's about as good as an episode of, like, Doctor Who or something. Which, Doctor Who is a show that I'm like, that's a pretty okay show. But yeah, like, especially because, like, man, like, dude, you had a great idea with that, like, fucking hilarious balloon thing. And, they're still managing to keep the concept going over. I felt it was weird that Renee and Barbara had a relationship in the past, other than being friends. That they were like romantic partners. Don't have a problem with it. It just was a little bit surprising. It's separate from what that character had before. But then again, Barbara was generally a character that didn't get any character development because they were already divorced after year 1 because he cheats on her with Sarah. So they never really gave Barbara any character or any backstory in the comics, so they're sort of making one up as it goes along. Her being a pot smoker is also kind of random, but whatever. One thing I've noticed, I want to live in that fucking house, man. That fucking clock tower house. I know it's supposed to be like sort of like a reference to Birds of Prey because, Babs Jr. ends up living in a clock tower and being in a wheelchair, but more importantly, the clock tower. Which is dope. I want to live in a clock tower. Literally partway through this episode, I fucking took out my phone and looked up, can I live in a clock tower? And the answer was, I'm pretty sure no. There's apparently a clock tower house in Brooklyn. Yeah, that's how far I got into this. Other than that, though, solid third episode. These are getting shorter and shorter because I'm having fewer and fewer problems with them. No Edward Nygma. Which is good because he's a terrible character on the show. He is useless. You could just have some random character walk up and give any dialogue that he would, and it would make more sense because we don't need the Riddler this early on in Batman's career, on account of he hasn't had one. The whole idea of... Sorry, excuse me. It's getting late. The whole idea of Batman... learning from this fucking stupid Balloonman. Silly as fuck. But this crazy Balloonman guy, Batman learning to be Batman from that, or at least learning a harsh lesson about Batmaning. That makes some sense. But it's, I don't know, I didn't really like it because I think it's kind of dumb. He's kind of jumping too far into the no, I'm gonna get vengeance. And I have the moral code not to kill. Because it feels like it's just well, he learned all this when he was 10, and then he decided to fuck off for a few years, and now he's back and he's Batman. I don't know. Is this show as good as Smallville? That's the real question. And I mean, as Smallville was for its time. So obviously you look back at Smallville, and there's definitely some issues. The show took a little bit longer than Smallville to be fun and fucking weird as shit. Because Smallville just started off, it's like, oh, we're Buffy, but with superheroes instead of vampires. Or supervillains instead of vampires, I should say. But yeah, so this show is like, I don't know. Again, I don't want to give it too much praise because I want to be cautious. I don't want to just like say how good it is and then it ends up starts sucking again and I'm like, oh shit. I know there is apparently a Joker episode coming up, which I'm gonna yell at for so long. I'm gonna fucking scream. That episode. Be wary. If this series ends up getting me there, be worried. I'm gonna fucking scream about it because the Joker is the character that I like the most in the Batman mythology. And he's the one I know the most about. And he's the one that you can argue the most about, interpretations of. Which someone said, like, oh, the guy who plays fucking Joker on this is like halfway between Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. And I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, it really wants to put itself in like a realistic world. This episode's fucking great because it's just so goofy. Like, it totally, like, the other two episodes took themselves way too fucking seriously, and this one's like, we have a man who attaches balloons to people and they float up into the fucking sky, and they're like, ah! That was great. And then them, like, introducing fucking Officer Cranston, just, like, completely out of nowhere, like, oh man, the myth, the legend, he's fucking crazy. You see him in, like, one scene at the beginning, and he's just like, Jim Gordon, eh? You're a new guy. You're a fucking weirdo. And then he, like, grabs his trophy and he's like, I beat people nearly to death with this. And then he goes to do so. Then his second scene, he fucking dies by floating up into the goddamn air. Which is crazy and wonderful, and I love it. The idea that, like, they just randomly showed that guy at the beginning, and it was the guy from that show Legit, which is also on Netflix, as far as I'm aware, and that's a good show if you want to see something that's pretty funny. But yeah, so the guy from Legit, yeah, he was just in there for a second. I was like, oh, he's probably going to be a recurring character then, because, like, you know, he's, like, relatively famous. He'll probably be in a few episodes. And then it's like, oh no, he's the episode of the week's villain. So that's why they got someone who's slightly famous. That was a good twist, as it were. Or whatever. Yeah. No, yeah, it was a good one. This one was a good one. Same good cinematography. They're doing less of the stuff I hate. Oh yeah, and of course the ending, the cliffhanger. It's like, oh no, it's fucking penguins right at the door. I did like that little moment with Barbara and Jim at the end. It was really nice. It was sweet. It felt sort of real, and it had him go like, fuck man, the city's fucking broken. I done fucked it up. I don't know why I'm talking in that accent. That's not even what his accent sounds like. His voice is more like, oh man, the city, what have I done? Oh man, it's broken. I don't know what's happening. The people are sick. Everything is terrible. And yeah, so that moment where they had shared, that was fucking stupid bit right there. You can tell it's getting later and later every time I do this episode. But yeah, so that moment at the end where they kind of like talk to each other, that was really nice. It was good. Like most of the other moments where it was like one person with another person. I like seeing Penguin start coming up in the world. It's really kind of funny. It's like a darkly humorous way. But yeah, Balloonman. Good villain. The villain himself wasn't as interesting as last week's villain because they were interesting characters and like it led to something else that's probably going to show up later this season with the doll catcher. And I actually thought the Balloonman would be Professor Pig from, if you've played Arkham Knight or if you've just read, like, I feel like Professor Pig is recent. I feel like he's from the Dick Bats era. It was his origin. Dick Bats being when Dick Grayson became Batman. But yeah, so Professor Pig, I thought that was who he was. But then it was like, no, it's Balloonman. I don't know if Balloonman's an actual guy. Batman's been around for 75 years. I don't know every single fucking one of his villains. But if it's a real one, then fucking they better put they put a crazy quilt in this show. I'd love to hear them make reference to Superman as well, because Superman and Batman are around the same age, or like just Smallville in general, like as a city, or be like fucking Metropolis is a place that I could go to, or Bloodhaven. Shit, yeah, sorry about that. Ending, it's like, oh man, I want to see what happens, because like that's the guy he was accused of killing, and he's not dead. Exciting. Maybe tune in next time to my show, and I'll be more tired, and but maybe it'll be not tired. Who knows? Let me check the time. Actually, this is fucking completely unprofessional, and I'm sorry. Yeah, tune in. It'll be a different day. I'm not gonna. This is the last episode I watched today. So yeah, and then I'll upload these probably, and then if people like them, I'll make more, or I'll make more anyway. Cause fuck it. What am I gonna do? Not this. Probably. This is too long of an outro. Like, comment, and subscribe, or do that already. I'm sorry that this was a fucking weird one. I'll make sure to start doing this earlier in the day next time, so I can do more of them. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. I already said that. See you guys in the next... while I watch Gotham. Nathan watches Gotham, and he tells you about it. And for those of you at home watching along with me, sorry that I'm holding you up on this one. Or not. You make your own decision, people. Where am I going with this? Fuck, I need to go to bed. Alright, see you guys.